Hello, everybody. Welcome to the March 12, 2026 meeting on Latino Advisory Commission. Before we get started, I have a few instructions for participating in the meeting. To participate remotely, you may log into the meeting by going to the website address listed on the meeting agenda or by calling 1-469-998-7682 and entering phone conference ID 993-855-433#. We ask that remote attendees remain muted unless speaking. We also ask that folks attending in person use the microphone when speaking and to begin first by clearly identifying yourself. All approval votes will be by roll call tonight, which will be administered when the time comes. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on the agenda? Next, I'll begin by asking Kevin Levancy to take a roll call of all the members.
Roll call. Laura Martinez.
Yes.
Herman Chiriboga.
Here.
Eric Diaz.
Here.
Deborah Gonzalez.
Here.
Pablo Santiago. Jenny Guzman.
Here.
That concludes our roll call.
Thank you, Kevin. Next will be the approval of minutes of the March 12, 2026 meeting. The draft minutes were emailed to you and a copy is in your meeting packet. Are there any corrections to the minutes that were distributed? Great. If there are no corrections, I'll request a motion to approve the minutes of the March 12, 2026 meeting.
I want to present.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So move. Do I request a motion to approve?
I second.
On that motion, I have Kevin take a roll call.
Roll call for approval of the minutes. Laura Martinez.
Yes.
Herman Chiriboga.
Yes.
Eric Diaz.
Yes.
Deborah Gonzalez.
Yes.
Pablo Santiago. Jenny Guzman.
Yes.
That concludes the approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Kevin. Next, I'd like to move forward and discuss commission agenda. A few housekeeping announcements. Before we get started, the commission would like to congratulate Commissioner Gonzalez for being recognized.
Thank you.
It's truly, yes, claps.
Thank you.
It's truly an honor to serve next to you, Deborah, and congratulations on your wonderful award and for representing all Latinos in Worcester and in the community. So we really want to just shout you out and congratulate you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Through the chair.
Thank you, thank you, Deborah. Next, I'd like to move to our topics today. The next topic I'd like to discuss is to debrief our last meeting presentations. With first, we'll start off with Chief Saucier's visit to us, followed by the Human Rights Commission leadership conversation. So I'd like to open it up to all the rest of the commissioners and just debrief on Chief Saucier's meeting in our last meeting.
Through the chair, if I may. I thought that the intention of the points presented by Chief Saucier were true to the values of transparency and truth obviously comes with transparency. I also want to say that the way that the remarks were rendered seemed to be very authentic, genuine, and also, in a way, it just made me feel like it was a really hard, it's a really hard spot to be when you are in a position where you're sort of like the first ones to encounter and deal with a situation that comes from a federal change in terms of policy. So I think in a sense it's good to know that they did the best that they could, and that we are all learning from that experience, and as a consequence of that, we get to know exactly what are the regulations and the protocols that are in place when things like this happen as a community. So I think that I understand that there is judgment, and there's always judgment, and there should be judgment in order for things to improve. But I think that the way that he presented the things he did, which included specifics with regards to admitting or not certain documents in order to go forward with any actions. Those are really specific, and it takes time to learn all those little details of those protocols. So I think that from that presentation he did, I learned a lot, and I might have changed my thoughts that I had right after that incident in Eureka Street happened.
Thank you, Councilor Gonzalez. I'll open it up to others.
Yeah, through the chair, I would just add that I think that information, that the way that it was presented to us, it's not on? Oh, I thought it was on. I'll just be closer, okay. So the information that was presented to us, and as Deborah mentioned in terms of like the protocol and all things, is actually good information to present to the Latino community in some way. Especially because this affects a lot of our people in our community. So I'm just thinking of maybe a way moving forward, how do we bring this information to our community would be something to think about.
Thank you, Councilor Guzman. Councilor Diaz, any feedback, debriefs?
Yeah, through the chair. No, I really appreciated the chief coming, and as Deborah mentioned, providing transparency as to the procedures that local PD, conducts themselves with their federal counterparts. Yeah, I think I was pushing on the chief a little bit, just because I know within the community, particularly with non-citizen folks, there is a fear of calling police because of the concern that police might be engaging or interacting with federal law enforcement, such as ICE. But I do appreciate the chief's remarks, and I do appreciate him reassuring individuals that no matter what, they should call. Worcester local PD does not, for their sake, they don't look at immigration background or whether you're a citizen or not. Their main objective and concern is the safety of the community. And so I really appreciated his comment on, if anybody has an emergency and they call 911, Worcester Police will be there. And so if there's any reassurance, I think it's just that, Worcester Police Department is trying to make the most with the situation, before them, and they want people to know that they're going to be present. If you call and yeah, so I do appreciate him coming, him being transparent, and him sharing as much as he could, considering the limitation of the police department with the federal government. So yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Diaz. And Councilor Chiriboga, I know that you weren't here, but a lot of the conversations that were had are very parallel to the conversations that was shared before. And they were shared with a larger audience and with the rest of the councilors. And there was a really great conversation of information, and just wanted to give you an opportunity to share your thoughts based on previous engagements with Chief Saucier.
Sure, thank you. Through the chair, the insight, as you mentioned, Laura, is based on the previous meeting that we had, and I'm glad that some of the same topics were addressed during the general meeting. Some of my takeaways in the meeting with Chief Saucier were, just like Deborah said, there is an effort to have transparency in the communications. I really appreciated that the chief said he will be ready to come anytime and as many times as we need it. So I will advise all of us to take advantage of that and get those invitations when there are questions from the community or things that need to be clarified. We talked about collaboration or non-collaboration with ICE, for example. And some of the perceptions that I was holding were actually clarified in terms of the functionality of some of those calls, how and when our police departments able to respond in different ways. So that was very interesting to know. And we discussed with the chief that it would be very important to consistently get those messages out as well to the community so that we can all be in the same page. So that was one of the important areas that I was able to take away from that meeting, and then understanding a little bit of the nuance when it comes to what federal groups do versus local police departments. And that, for example, connects with the ordinance from our governor that ICE, for example, cannot step foot in city property or state property. You know, we discussed some of the things. What does this mean for public schools, public colleges, versus private colleges? So, just like Commissioner Diaz mentioned, one of the things that was important with that is that the chief said, no matter what, if you feel unsafe, even when there is an ICE agent in front of you asking you or not identifying, their job is to come and check out the situation so that you feel safe. So at any point, even recognizing some of the tensions that are between community members and police departments in general, just the reassurance that we all should always feel confident to call our police department in any case that we feel unsafe. So that I appreciated that angle and the clarity on some of the logistics and procedures that I had different assumptions too. And I'm looking forward to continue to learn, and after the conversation with the chief, I've been trying to read also more on some of these limitations and abilities that police departments may or may not have, depending on where they are.
Great, yes. My takeaway overall was the importance of police presence in this particular space when it comes to the Latino Commission. The reality is that we are in a very heightened, difficult time for not just the Latino community, for the Hispanic community, for our brown community, for our Spanish-speaking community. And the fact that this commission was able to have a very difficult conversation, we may not get all of the answers that we were looking for. We see a lot of things, we witness a lot of things, and every situation is different, but we were able to at least invite someone who can give us some sort of clarity and answers, come to our space and be able to address all of us in a way that was diplomatic, but very open to a lot of the things that we were throwing his way, and we threw a lot of things his way. And he was able to still be able to answer mostly all of our requests and all of our questions. in this time as a nation, these type of conversations are very important to have, because we are facing a lot of injustices across different areas, and starting a conversation is the way that we can kind of start peeling back the onion layers, into coming to some sort of conformity and some sort of understanding. So I am thankful for the chief for being able to immediately come down here and have a conversation. It sounds like he's also ready to have a follow-up conversation should we want to, should we need to. And these are the type of conversations that are important to have for all of us to hear. So if you are listening, we would love for you to chime in, call in, show up to any one of our meetings. We have an open door policy where if you'd like to hear more, that's the kind of feedback that we want to hear from the community. If you want to hear from other folks in the department, those are things that we'd like to hear. We can't assume that this is something that you want, but this is a starting point. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that if we have a request for clarity, it was answered in a very quick way. And I'm very thankful that we were able to at least hold that conversation for folks. And I hope that folks took the time to listen in and be able to start thinking about, was that helpful? Was that not helpful? Did it answer your questions? Did it not? Did it leave you with more questions? That's what we're here for. We're here to advocate for those things. So I'm hoping that meeting would open up the floodgates to more conversation, for our community to at least feel some sort of comfort. Any other counselors want to add anything else?
Through the chair, this brings a topic that might be put into a parking lot somewhere until later, but it's a perfect timing for addressing the fact that we need to communicate and we need to help our community access these meetings. There is a lot of, there are many ways that we can do that, I'm sure, but I think it's really important that we help our community understand how they can access these meetings, being because of the language barrier, being because they are not very familiar on how to advocate for themselves through commissions like this. Just making sure that, we in some way can communicate to, those that would benefit the most out of these meetings, how to access these meetings well in advance, so they can attend these opportunities to bring their concerns.
Thank you, Councilor Gonzalez.
Through the chair.
Yes.
If I could just kind of go back quickly on my thought on the chief. I think I just wanted to make an important distinction as to, the chief made a good point as to mentioning, there's a limitation between what local police departments can do in relation to when federal government gets involved. And he mentioned the supremacy clause, which essentially just means that federal laws trump or they, are supersede local laws. And so I think it's important that our community, that the public is aware of that. I think we often want to, attach anger to the police because they are the ones who are, there and present, often appearing to be at sides with ICE. But I think it's important to be aware that police departments are limited and we shouldn't lash out or be quick to be frustrated with them. It's reasonable and understandable, but I think it's important to understand that they are very much limited. They are local law enforcement and they can't supersede what the federal government wants to do. These concerns are concerns that I would encourage people definitely to bring forth to the senators, to the representatives, because this is a policy issue that I think many states are trying to figure out what to do. So yeah, I just wanted, for everyone listening and for the community in general, I wanted people just to be aware of that. Like, let's not be quick to be upset or be frustrated with the police on this particular matter, because here they are very much limited. And as the chief said, their first priority right now is just really ensuring that the community feels safe, however they can do that.
Thank you for uplifting that, Councilor Diaz. Any other feedback? Great. Next, I'd like to discuss our second guest that evening, which was the Human Rights Commission leadership. And before I open it up, I'm going to share some context for Councilor Chiriboga. We had the Human Rights Commission leadership join us. Two of their members, one was virtual, one was in person, came over to share some of their mission work, their vision. They also explained how long they've been a commission, what some of the things that they are working on. They also shared some highlights of open to not just co-collaboration, but being able to understand some of the things that this commission is doing, and how much the Human Rights Commission and the Latino Commission really intersects with the same population and demographic. And then they also left us with some literature and information on some of the work that they're doing. And before I open it up, I want to make sure that I got most of the stuff from that evening. Okay. And I'll go ahead and open it to the counselors for takeaways, feedback, or uplift anything that I left out when it came to the Human Rights Commission leadership.
Through the chair, if I may. So there were many points that were exciting, especially when he talked about how our city manager is committed to the work of all the different commissions and how he joined because of that commitment with all the commissions. He also expressed some frustrations, and I think that it's okay. We can talk about these things. I'm not going to go deep into any of it whatsoever, but I just want to bring it up because we have to, as a commission, understand that we are going to go through things that are going to go smoothly and it's going to go our way. And there are things that we're going to have to work harder on through the process of being part of this commission. So I think in a way it was a good way for me to understand that if we are really committed to this work, we are to be ready for every kind of a scenario when we want to propose something.
Thank you, Councilor Gonzalez. Others?
Through the chair, I would say one of the takeaways, because there was a lot of it was new information for me. So I do see a lot of how it intersects with what we're doing as well. They talked a lot about the police department as well, and we had just had the other visitors, so sort of. But one of the takeaways I would say is, as Deborah mentioned, the city manager, but also the commitment to the city to equity work. He did mention how things have been like restructured, and we can see some of the new commissions came out of that commitment from the city. So I guess one of my takeaways, I'm happy to see that the city is committed to these new commissions and equity work in the city. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Guzman. Councilor Diaz, any feedback?
Sorry, I'm thinking. Through the chair. No, I mean, I appreciated them coming. It was very helpful to get a perspective from members who have been involved in government or been involved in a commission similar to ours, just to kind of get their perspective and their take on how it's been working with the city manager and just, with with the community in general. Um, yeah, I'm still chewing on what was said. So I'll come back at another point with more feedback.
Absolutely. Councilor Chiriboga, anything?
Chair, I mostly have a couple questions for everyone. By reviewing the meeting notes, I am interested in the last part of the item 11, where Vice Chair Feldman had discussed some of the challenges faced by the Human Rights Commission, like communication with the administration, and also some frustration around the interest in creating a civilian review board. Can someone comment on that, and how can we also think about that proactively as we communicate with the administration, or as we try to suggest community-driven initiatives as well?
If I can, I'll take a stab at that. If I remember correctly, some of the challenges that were uplifted by Vice Chair Feldman were directly in correlation with the Worcester Police Department and information not being shared simultaneously as information was going to be shared to the masses, I believe was one of the issues. There were challenges in communication between the commission and I believe city manager and the department when it came to ways in which they were going to communicate said information that they were looking for. I believe through that conversation, they did come to some sort of understanding and or agreement of how that was going to be shared. My takeaway from that was that it was not something that was satisfied by the Human Rights Commission in the way that it was shared. Others, please feel free to chime in.
So through the chair, that's what I was referring to at the very beginning with all the frustrations and other points presented. I see it more as, also with a broader picture in mind. What happened, and it should be a lesson for us to understand what some of the potential challenges might be for us and how to prepare for them.
Thank you.
Any other questions or feedback with the Human Rights Commission? If I may, before we move to our next item, which is to debrief about our mission and goals, I'd like to motion a 5 to 7 minute pause for folks to review those notes of mission and vision, and then we can go ahead and discuss it. I'd like a motion for that.
I second the motion.
Do we need a roll call, Kevin? I'll defer to Kevin for a roll call for a 5 to 7 minute pause for folks to review those notes.
Motion for a 5-minute pause to review the materials for missions and goals. Roll call. Laura Martinez,
Yes.
Herman Chiriboga,
Yes.
Eric Diaz,
Yes.
Deborah Gonzalez,
Yes.
Pablo Santiago, Jenny Guzman.
Yes.
Motion for a 5-minute pause.
Great.
Through the chair, would you mind helping directing me to that? I don't know if that was sent via email or.
Via email. The last email that Kevin sent out should be an attachment.
Through the chair, Commissioner Diaz, I can resend it to you right now.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Didn't see the mission.
Commissioner Diaz, I just sent it.
Through the chair, Kevin, which of the documents in the email has the mission?
Through the chair, if you look at the body of the email, the bolded is the mission. My apologies, that should have been printed out.
No worries.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up.
Jenny, I'm gonna send it to you too. You have it? Okay. You found it? You have it? Okay, I got you.
Just gonna quickly put it on the screen. Through the chair, after the 5 minutes, I'm happy to explain the different documents that we have here.
Thank you, sir.
To the chair, to let y'all know your mics are on.
Counselor Diaz, are you okay to come back on?
I am.
Okay, great. We are back.
Through the chair, I'd like to explain some of the documents that we have. The commission and the leadership of the Latino Affairs had asked me to achieve a few things. One, our mission statement, our goals, and any of our processes. So some of the material it's me. So what I did is reached out to our old staff liaison, a few folks from HR as well too, and they provided me some documents. So I had emailed the commission the mission statement that was proposed. The second document, which is very important, is the ordinance. And what that is when the city manager makes a proposal to the city councilors to add to the table of organization when it comes to the boards of commission, and that's how the Latino Affairs was created. Within the ordinance, it has very specific duties and responsibilities of what this board is tasked to do, from the makeup of the positions to the responsibilities. And if you read, you can see a lot of the responsibilities around data, promoting equity, promoting language access. So that can also help us with some of our mission and goals. Lastly, the last document was a spreadsheet, a master plan spreadsheet on what the commission, prior to me coming, some of the things that they discussed that they would work on. So on that master plan, some of the goals that they were looking at was a communication plan, which this commission has continuously to emphasize about bringing communications to the community. Social determinants, so when you talk about health, social determinants is one framework that a lot of public health institutions use. Housing, data gathering, ESL, and after-school care and daycare. So a lot of these documents was when the commission was first formed. Those were some of the ideas. And this can help with our conversation of what do we want to do when it comes to initiatives for this commission and put some teeth and have some action behind it. But I do want to open it up and hear what other commissioners have to say, and I'm hoping for a robust conversation.
Thank you, Kevin. To kind of start off, I would like for us to share with folks, maybe virtually, what our mission statement is. And if I could have a volunteer, one of the council members, just kind of read that out loud as we share it with the public so that it's on record here. And then we can start the discussion. Thank you, Kevin. Councilor Gonzalez?
Sure.
Thank
Through
you.
the chair.
Thank you so much.
Sure, I have, yes. So the mission of the Latino Commission, Worcester Latino Commission is, the Worcester Latino Commission was established to advocate for and empower the Latino community in Worcester, fostering equitable access to public services and ensuring the full enjoyment of civil rights. With a 7-member commission, it works to represent Latino interests in local government, promote community engagement, and address systemic barriers faced by this population. Created with the strong community support and collaboration between City Manager Edward M. Augustus Jr., City Manager Eric D. Batista, the Latino Empowerment and Organizing Network, Leon, and other Latino-led organizations, the Commission aims to uplift the community through initiatives that support economic growth, equitable education, health and well-being, and youth empowerment. Additionally, it conducts research to inform policy recommendations and advocates for the resolution of disparities. With approximately 40,000 Latinos residing in Worcester, the Commission's mission is to continue advancing systemic change, ensuring a more inclusive and vibrant city for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Gonzalez. For the public to understand that this is a mission statement that we came up with when we first were organized. So this is now over a year old of a mission statement. Now the mission statement is very different than our actual duties and responsibilities, which is formalized by the City of Worcester. So when it comes to our responsibilities and our duties, that looks different because that is something that is written by the city for this particular commission. I would like a volunteer to kind of read over our duties and responsibilities from the City of Worcester so that we have that clarity of those two things before we start having this conversation.
Sure, I can do it. So, duties and responsibilities, it shall be the function of the Commission to, number 1, encourage, promote, and monitor policies and practices in the city to ensure that Latinos enjoy the equal protection of the law, equal access to all public services, and the full enjoyment and exercise of their civil rights. Number 2, formulate, encourage, promote, and monitor policies and programs relating to Worcester's Latino communities. Number 3, gather and disseminate linguistic and culturally relevant information and conduct hearings and special studies concerning Worcester's Latino communities. Number 4, increase and encourage public awareness about issues of importance to the Latinos in Worcester. Number 5, develop, coordinate, and assist other public and private organizations that serve Latinos in Worcester, including conducting training programs for community leadership. Number 6, submit biannually to the City Manager a report stating the undertakings of the Commission, its accomplishments, conclusions, and recommendations concerning the Latino communities in Worcester, and to meet with the City Manager to present said reports. And number 7, appoint a subcommittee as appoint subcommittees as may be needed to carry out its responsibilities.
Thank you, Councilor Chiriboga. So to recap and to be clear on the differences between this commission's mission and the city's duties and responsibility appointed to us. It is our responsibility to promote and monitor said policies and practices in the city to ensure that Latinos enjoy equal protection. Now, I can say that by the short period of time that we've been formalized, we have done a really great job at uplifting some of those concerns, policies, etc. That's why we had different guest speakers come on over. We invited different folks from the community, from the library. We had, Chief Saucier come in here. We had other folks from different pockets of municipal branches come here and just discuss some of the things that they're working on that we believe collectively are things that specifically affect the Latino community here in Worcester. Some of the things that I think that we need to start shifting and focusing on are continue to promote said policies and programs that relate to Worcester's Latino community. Definitely increasing public awareness. I think that we can all agree that that's something that is a present thing in our agenda that we want to work on. And then items 5 and item 6, which is some of the things that will start to come out of as we start to promote, understand, and invite more folks into this commission. Before I open it up to the councilors, I want to just reiterate how our mission aligns with what our duties and responsibilities are, and how those two things do work hand in hand. And I would also like to propose going forward for us to open up the meetings reiterating our mission and our responsibilities, because I think that the more folks can hear it from us, they'll be able to understand what this commission is actually doing and that we are fulfilling our duties and responsibilities. So I'd like to open it to the remainder councilors on feedback and thoughts. Now that we've revisited our mission, for Councilor Guzman, this is the first time that she has probably seen our mission, but also for all of us to really see to paper our responsibilities and duties and kind of start having a dialogue on what are our next steps. Some of those things we've already have brought up, like we need to promote who we are, but also digging a little bit deeper into those recommendations to the city manager, what that can look like and how can we present those things. And I'll open it up to the councilors.
Through the chair, if I may. Thank you for that, for getting us going with this topic of the mission and also the duties and responsibilities by the city. One of the things that I think is very important as we look at these things is that what are the limitations and the space that we have as an advisory committee. We don't necessarily have a direct vote on things, but in our duties and responsibilities, we use action words like encourage and promote, encourage, formulate, encourage, coordinate. So with that, I also have a similar question to what you had, Laura, which is in item number 1, for example, promote and monitor policies and practices in the city to ensure that Latinos enjoy equal protection of the law, access to public services, and full enjoyment and exercise of the civil rights. As individuals and even as a group, just ourselves, I don't know how we navigate obtaining some updates on that every time we meet. And I will look to Kevin just for an idea in terms of how we start our meetings. It will be good to have some kind of an update on situations that might be connected to these issues of policies, practices, etc. And good things, not so good things, controversies, but also things that we can strengthen as we face some of these. For us as individuals, I don't think we can get this information at any given moment without understanding all the proper channels. So maybe we can discuss, Kevin, like how can we perhaps start our monthly meetings with some relevant updates that will allow us to have also open conversation around how can we begin to encourage, promote, and monitor policies, which will connect to, because the whole idea is that we then will come to the city manager with specific and actionable suggestions. And I use the word suggestions on purpose because they will be at the discretion of the city manager to either do it or not. But our suggestions I think we should do our best to be as informed as we can so that our suggestions carry as much weight as they can in that process. And then the last, in gaining information and understanding, some of it has been through trying to invite different players in the city so that we understand how things are happening. And something that I would encourage the city in general, and I don't know how these, or if it already happens, is how is the city collecting and managing their data when it comes to actually monitoring some of these policies, when it comes to understanding at a city level, are Latinos actually in a position where they are enjoying all the benefits of the law? Are Latinos affected positively or negative in these practices from the city, et cetera? So it will be something very interesting to see how can we also have access to regular overviews of some of these issues so that we can not only have the perspectives of what we hear and what we perceive, but also some direct information from the city so that we can, sometimes as we, with the perceptions we had of how the police and ICE collaborated, it was interesting to me to shift some of my perspectives and assumptions when receiving information directly from the chief, right? So there might be other issues that are perceived differently from what the city can offer for us to have an understanding. And I think that will add a layer of transparency for our recommendations as well when we sit down with the city manager twice a year.
Through the chair to the councilors, there's a few things that we can do. So we can start off our monthly meetings by covering different policy updates. But also in our monthly meetings, we do have the opportunity with myself to meet with cabinet members, to meet with division heads, just so you're not only hearing my perspective, because I'm not going to have everything, but similar way how we met with Chief Sauce here, we can do the same thing with other department heads. I typically, with all the boards under DEI, when I meet with the vice chair and the chairs, I do take them to different meetings just so they can have a seat at the table, make sure their voices is heard, which is an opportunity to bring that back to the commission and also discuss that. So I'm happy for our next meeting to look at what some of these issues are and who's next up that we want to have a conversation with at the cabinet level or even division head or deputies, just to get a better understanding and what type of initiative or projects that we can engage in once we have those meetings.
Through the chair, in addition to this recommendation, which I think is great, I think another way to maybe kind of see what's affecting the Latino community in policies and practices, and you maybe have had some already before my time, but is to continue to invite Latino-based organizations in Western, kind of hear from them and what they're seeing and their families and their students, because they have a perspective that we maybe not in all the time. So So if we can't get all the public to come to our meetings, which would be the best case scenario, of course, maybe getting the organizations and so the people that are working with the Latino communities and get their perspective about what kind of policies or practices they're seeing that are affecting the families. So that's another way of getting that data, so we can make recommendations in addition to getting the data from the city.
Through the chair, Jenny, thank you so much. That is a really great idea. That apart from what we learn from the city directly is also understand the experience on the ground by community organizations. I really think that's a wonderful idea, and we should try to follow up with that, because I can see action items always emerging from those kinds of encounters.
Through the chair, to Jenny's point, I like that a lot. I also want to consider that a lot of our commissioners work in higher education, so I think there's a connection there as well too, as we start to think about the youth or college. There can be a partnership there as well.
Any other suggestions now that we're all in the same page as far as where our mission stands, what our duties and responsibilities are? We've actually done a lot of things that maybe we haven't really realized until this moment. But what I'm hearing is we need to continue our guest speaker series, if you will, where we're inviting other folks that are directly in connection with the Latino community, while also trying to find a way where we are getting the most updated current policies that are affecting us. I think between those two things, that could really start shaping the way in which we're starting to collect data so that we're ready to have said report for the city manager with recommendations. I think that we need a few more guest series under our belts, and some policy updates to start trickling in for us to really get excited about what are some of the things that this commission is ready to uplift, recommend, and really kind of hone in on as we're starting to flush out some of those kinks internally with this group.
If I may, through the chair, I think that's a great idea. I also would like to propose that we have some forum for community listening sessions to get the input directly from the Latino families. I think that the direct voices, they could be from the organizations themselves, their membership coming, as well as the organizations, to those listening sessions. But I would like to have you entertain that idea as well.
To your point, Councilor Gonzalez, that's actually the next bullet point on the agenda, where that is the biggest pressing thing that this commission is trying to do. And Kevin has done a really great job at digging up what those parameters look like. So Kevin, I move to you to update what those parameters around events for this commission can look like, so that we can start to work around those parameters and start scheduling some of those things like Councilor Gonzalez shared.
Through the chair, so our last meeting we discussed trying to have future workshops, gatherings, but there were concerns or questions around not violating open meeting laws. So I reached out to Patricia, who oversees a lot of our boards in our office and has a well knowledge of the open meeting law. In general, as long there's not deliberation, we can come together. So deliberation meaning discussions, debates, or decision making about the commission business. As long that does not take place in any of our events, we can hold different types of workshops, community gatherings, cultural events, panels, whatever that may look like. But we just have to ensure that no commission business is discussed while all commissioners are in the same space.
Kevin, for clarity, can you give an example of what that could look like?
Through the chair, that's a good question. So In terms of deliberation, the things that we're discussing now, so things that are in relationship to our mission, to our responsibilities, things that where we would need a vote to make a decision, that could not be discussed in those gatherings. But coming together to host an event is fine. But if any of the conversations that can lead to, okay, this is something that we would need a vote on, then that would be a violation. So as long as there's no deliberations.
Through the chair, I have a question about that. What if those things that we are deliberating about come as a result of the actual events that we promote or host? What would be the implications of that specific rule that you just described?
Through the chair, that's a good question, Commissioner. So if something were to pop up, I think it's on the commission and ourselves to ensure that we save that discussion until we have an official meeting. So things that are decision-making or policy discussions or debates, we would try to save it till we have an official meeting where that conversation is transparent to the public. And the reason it's a violation because we're having a conversation that's not transparent to the public or they don't have access to that conversation. So that's why we got to just make sure the deliberation doesn't happen.
And another question, if I may, through the chair. What are the ways that we capture or that we are supposed to capture the information that comes out of these forums, activities that we actually have to engage with the community? How do we ensure that we can't, what are the ways that we're supposed to capture the talking points or whatever other takeaways from these particular activities and community gatherings, so forth?
Through the chair, I just think we have to be careful what events. I'm a little nervous to do forums because I think that's where a lot of those debates can happen, but things like award ceremonies, cultural events, community outreach, panels on different topics, informational sessions about us is fine, but if we get into like either debates or forums that have topics that relate to this commission or the interests of this commission, we might be stepping in areas that can violate. So we just have to be strategic with what our events are and what the goal of that.
Through the chair, Deborah, I was thinking a little bit of if and when that happens, that's actually an opportunity for us, any of us, like if we are receiving some of those questions or informations or challenges, if you will, to invite that person or group to come to our open meeting so that we can not forget to do that and give an opportunity. So I really feel that I will be happy if someone comes and says, what about this? And that's when we can say, well, our next meeting is this day, please come so that we can discuss. But at the very least, we can, as we formulate the agenda before the meeting, to include some of those points so that we can have it in the discussion and still encourage whomever share the thought or the idea or the challenge to come here so that we can use the public time, as Kevin said, to increase the transparency and to increase the opportunity for others to give their input on the case. But let's take it as a good chance for us and maybe a good practice for us as commissioners to be receptive of some of those ideas, and even though we can discuss them at the very moment, to make sure that those things are brought to the agenda and that we invite those who raise those points to be part of the conversation.
Through the chair, if I may, thank you, Commissioner Chiriboga. I also would like to ask, what is the possibility of, if not soon enough, just further away, organizing an annual Latino Community Forum or Summit? If you could find that out or if you already know the answer. I think that would be a place where we could potentially invite many different sectors within, the scope of the city, higher education, K to 12, or community organizations, and we could get a lot of information about priorities in something like that.
Through the chair, so you would like an update on or parameters around organizing an annual summit, a Latino summit? I can follow up on that. We just have to be mindful. It's also based on the capacity of this commission as well too. But I can look into that. This reminds me similar to the Status of Women Commission. They did something similar where they had awards within Worcester's colleges and to provide a female scholarship. So maybe that's something similar we can do if it's a few Latino students or a scholarship, and would partner with different colleges to put into that scholarship and then award it, but there'll need to be a selection process. So if something like that can happen, I'm sure we can do a summit, and I'll just double check on that.
Through the chair, thank you.
Through the chair, I just wanted to make one last point about in connection with like the things that we can do and looking at the duties and responsibilities as well, to take advantage of item 4, sorry. Where am I? Item 3, gather and disseminate linguistic, culturally relevant information and conduct hearings and special studies concerning Worcester's Latino communities. I don't know if I can think of an example. I would invite Worcester Public Schools, for example, to discuss some of the data and realities for our Latino students, as it's almost half of the student body. Things like these. I'm kind of excited about this item, and I think it will give us a big deal of agency in terms of the questions that we can gather and the information that we can gather to then make our recommendations to the city manager.
Any other feedback on the duties and responsibilities that we should talk about and or have more suggestions on?
Through the chair, I just wanted to emphasize some of the things that were said, but I am very interested in public awareness. I think that's like a huge thing for us. So kind of combining what both of you said, I feel like I'm thinking of, if a summit is not possible right now, one other idea would be, in terms of the events that were mentioned, maybe like a panel of services that might affect the Latino community, and then and we can use the opportunity, as I mentioned, to promote like who we are. So maybe starting with something smaller, like a panel of different services that affect our community, and then using the opportunity to kind of like make the public aware of the commission and things like that. Because I know the summit would take more planning, so if we wanted to do something sooner, that would be one way to start.
Councilor Guzman, if I understood correctly, you are looking for us to host a panel of organizations that arguably would really work hand in hand with the Latino community, hosted by us. So essentially, for example, say Worcester Housing Authority and or the Worcester Public Library, Worcester Public Schools, et cetera, and then hosted by the commission. Is that what you meant? And then back to Kevin, is that something possible?
Through the chair, what I would see possible is more on the resource side, talking about their organization, what they can offer to the community versus, discussing topics. I would encourage, I like that idea, but I would encourage that the different communities that we partner with, it's a panel of talking about the resources that they can offer, and then we can build that communication and extend it to the community.
Yes. I believe that's what Councilor Guzman was implying. So, for example, in this imaginary panel, Worcester Housing Authority talks about all the services that they provide, all the different languages and staff that they have to offer. You know, Worcester Public Library is the same thing. Worcester Public Schools is a similar thing, and whoever else we identify talks directly on how they interact with the public, but specifically to Latino community, how to access them, et cetera, hosted by this commission.
To the chair, that sounds good. I will double check, but I do like that idea, and it seems like it's in line.
If I may, through the chair, if we want to make recommendations, we need to know the needs of the community. If we are only going to be listening to what they have to offer, we're not going to be necessarily listening about the needs of the community through these organizations. So I would like to know what is the way then that we are supposed to come up with recommendations and finding out what the needs are, if that's not a possibility through panels and other ways to engage with the community.
Through the chair, can I just mention something about that? I'm thinking that that through this panel and offering the resources, the families that are there, the community that comes through, they would share hopefully their needs, and maybe that's a way to kind of table that conversation and have them come to the commission to visit us to publicize their need. So kind of making them aware that they're able to then come to our meetings and discuss that information. I think that was my understanding of how we want to approach that. So like if we have families that come and talk about needs or have questions, then we would invite them to come to this meeting. Okay. Is what I'm thinking.
Kevin?
Through the chair, I'll follow up with Patricia on that. I think there's a way we can gather information as long as it's not being discussed until we get to official meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also, it doesn't have to be public. Like maybe it's during your one-on-one conversations that you're having, and then you're bringing it back to the commission.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Diaz, I just want to acknowledge and make sure you don't have any questions or follow-ups. We're throwing a lot of stuff, what-if scenarios right now, so I just want to make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, through the chair, I want to definitely echo what Deborah and Commissioner Guzman are saying. I would really love to have community present in our discussions. So if that means we have organizations come during our times where we meet and bring, the community voices to us, I think that would be very helpful, as Deborah said, for us to be able to then come up with recommendations to offer, right? Because it's one thing to hear about the resources and about what, community organizations offer, but it's another thing to hear from community members about their needs and where they feel we can better advocate and serve them. So I think we definitely need to have the community in our discussions. I think that's part of our duties and responsibilities as well, to ensure that we're incorporating them. At least I'll double check that, but I think at minimum, yeah, definitely we need to have the community voice in our discussions. So thank you, Deborah and Commissioner Guzman, for bringing that up.
Through the chair, I guess one last thing. If we invite community organizations to come, we can also extend the invitation for the organizations to bring also guests and members of the community that they work with, so that they can use those fancy chairs we have here, and we can have a conversation. I think that will be very valuable, and some of us connect with some of these groups. We know people in the community too, and maybe to get us started, we could brainstorm with Kevin as we make the agenda for ideas of organizations that might be willing to come, and the ask will be to come and express some of their ideas, concerns, anything that they feel this commission can be a bridge for communication with the city manager.
Anything else councilors want to uplift? We have a lot of really great feedback and notes, and I'm excited about what our next meeting is going to look like, because I feel like we're all cohesive in some of the things that we want to do. We have a lot more clarity, thanks to Kevin, as to what those parameters look like. And we have a lot of great ideas in the pipeline. I don't want to fill our plates up too much, but is there anything else that we're missing or we want to uplift as we're thinking of this to-do list?
Through the chair, I just want to point out the document, the master plan document that has some plans on there, and see if you all or the commission wants to continue to adopt those or start from scratch. Just making sure we cover the last document. So the one that's commissioned on Latino affairs. If you go
Yes.
through it, there's project names, things that were assigned to different different departments, project deliverables. So these are all things that predate me, but if it's something that we want to revitalize, just want to make sure we see that document.
Through the chair, if I may offer some insight on that, having reviewed especially the duties and responsibilities that are in the city document, I feel that they don't make this irrelevant, the master plan. So many of these issues can be explored through the communications that we have, for example, with social organizations, guests, etc. It's almost like this becomes a master plan B. Because I really think we have a guidance here in the duties and responsibilities that offers enough flexibility to include some of these priorities that we had thought about that, but will be better informed directly from people that come and share their experience with us. So that's just my insight for consideration.
I'd like to revisit this plan for two reasons. One reason, we have a new commissioner on board. The second reason is, I think as a group, we have come to an agreement of where we've been, where we're at, and where we're trying to go. We also have a new member with you, Kevin, as well. So I think if folks are okay, I'd like to motion to revise this document and restructure this document to align our aligned mission and our duties and responsibilities, given we have a new member, two new members with you too, Kevin, and revise this so that it makes a little bit more sense. I'd like a motion for that.
Making a motion for revising the Commission Latino Affairs work plan, master plan. Yeah, I would like to propose a motion for revising the Commission on Latino Affairs master plan.
Second.
Roll call, Kevin.
All right, so motion to revise the master plan for the Latino affairs to align it with our duties and responsibilities and also the mission. Laura Martinez,
Yes.
Herman Chiriboga,
Yes.
Eric Diaz.
Through the chair, I agree. I'm just trying to figure out what would that look like. Are we just pulling and plugging in, or are we going to submit new proposals?
My idea was to just pull and plug in. So there are some good things already on this plan that kind of align with some of the things that are on our duties and responsibilities. But to be fair, Commissioner Guzman wasn't part of this original plan. So there is also going to be suggestions to add different things to this plan as well, on top of pulling some of the things that do make sense from this plan.
Through the chair, if I may, I would like to propose that while doing this revision, we consider framing each of these sections with a goal in mind first, just stating a goal, and then some possible actions under that specific goal. So for instance, if I were to have the goal of informing city leadership with data and community perspectives, some of the actions would include identifying key disparities affecting Latino residents, conducting or partnering on community surveys or studies, submitting policy recommendations to the city manager based on findings, things like that. So it's framed under a specific goal instead of just being looser as it is right now, currently.
So tightening this up, Councilor Diaz, which would include revising the entire document, adding some maybe columns to some of these things, because right now it's pretty bland and pretty basic. So adding more of those strategic next steps next to them, and also amplifying Councilor Guzman's suggestions to said plan is what I'm looking to, the motion that I'm looking for.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know if you need to roll call again, or if I can just say yes to it.
Yeah, that's fine. You're okay with that?
I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Through the chair, if I may ask, just to make sure, are we going to engage in a discussion whether we are going to be creating a new master plan based on specific goals? Or are we going, how are we going to get to that decision?
Yes, so what my idea is to carve out times in between our meetings so that this can start becoming a working document before it gets finalized. So it's not something that is going to happen in one sitting. It's something that I would like to add to our agenda as a working conversation of brainstorming session, if you will, where we're tightening this up so that we can kind of get into the nitty-gritty of, like you said, goals, expectations, and next steps. So it isn't going to be something that we're going to craft overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Through the chair, on that end, would it be fair then for us to create like a projected date in which we can kind of aim to have it finalized? So I think, I wouldn't want this to just kind of keep rolling over. Not that I believe that's anybody's intent, but I think having a set date would be really helpful. Even if it's just a projected one, that could change later on, but.
I'm thinking on it.
Like, I don't know if we want to do like 4 meetings from now, right? Where we would have at least like a final draft.
I want to be careful of having hard deadlines when things are coming up and we're planning other things. I do agree that we do need an end date. Can we get clarification, Kevin, on do we follow fiscal year? Or what do we follow, the fiscal calendar for this commission?
Through the chair, I know in the summer there's a down period, but I don't know what month, so I got to double check on that.
Councilor Diaz, before I motion or answer that question, I think that I need clarity on our internal calendar, right? So that way I'm providing an accurate end time to this, right? I want to just make sure that we're following the correct calendar before I give an end date answer. Yes, I do agree with that we need one, but I need clarity of what that looks like. And I'd motion to have that clarity by next meeting and then we can decide what the due date would be for this, and if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that works for me. I appreciate it.
Through the chair, should we conclude with the first motion before the second one?
Through the chair, so just repeating our revised motion. Motion to revise the master plan and align it with the duties and responsibilities. This entails framing goals and having outcomes of action. With that said, Laura Martinez,
Yes.
Herman Chiriboga,
Yes.
Eric Diaz,
Yes.
Deborah Gonzalez,
Yes.
Pablo Santiago, Jenny Guzman.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. On that note, should we talk about our next meeting in April?
We are on the 12th right now. So a month.
Through the chair, are you asking for a date or?
Yeah.
Okay. If I can ask, what exactly, I know you'd mentioned that you had clarity on our next meeting. If you wouldn't mind maybe kind of reiterating that for me, because I'm kind of a little bit confused as to what next meeting we should expect. So.
Through the chair, I can answer that, Commissioner. We will send out an email on what to expect for next meeting. We typically meet with the chair and the vice chair of the commission to plan the agenda. And so weeks before the meeting, we'll send out an email on what to expect or what we're working on.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Through the chair, quick, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin. If any of the councilors has an idea for the agenda or something that seems urgent to address after this meeting, they should contact Kevin with their idea so that we can make sure to include it in the agenda when we sit down. That way we can expand the opportunity for everyone to place their ideas as we develop this.
Through the chair, that's correct. So if there are any updates or things that you would like on the agenda, you have to go through the staff liaison on that.
And just for clarity, right now, we're looking for a date for our April meeting.
Through the chair, I'm a little concerned about just having them on Thursdays. I am going to be going under a training that it's from 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I would really want to be here. So through the chair, if I may ask for an alternative day that is not either Tuesday or Thursday.
And Councilor Diaz, remind me again, which day is a hard no for you?
It depends on the time, but I have a class right after this, so that's why it doesn't work for me. But I can get back to you in 1 minute. Let me just double check.
That's great. Okay, if we can take a look for now, for entertainment's sakes, the second and third week of April.
So through the chair, so for me, it's just Mondays. Monday would be a hard no.
Okay.
Other days, it just depends, but for the most part, I can join virtually if need be.
Okay, so if we can take a look at the second and third week of April, no Monday, no Tuesday, no Thursday. So that leaves Wednesday and Friday, the second and third week. And I can say that Wednesday, April 8th is looking great for me.
Yeah, me too. Me as well. Through the chair.
Also
Thank you.
for me.
It's open.
Wow, Kevin?
So through the chair, the 8th does not work. We have the African American and Black Affairs Commission meeting on that day, but the rest of the Wednesdays in April does work. So April 15th, April 22nd, and April 29th.
Say that word.
Okay.
I'm sorry, through the chair, only the 29 works for me.
I can do the 29th.
I can do the 29th.
Counselor Diaz, 29th?
I can do the 29th, yes.
Kevin?
Yes, through the chair. I will put the 29th. I just have to check if the room is available.
Oh, okay. So as of right now, I'd like a motion for our next meeting to be on April 29th at 5:30. The room would be TBD, and Kevin will let us know if it'll be virtual or in the Levi room.
Second that motion.
Motion for our next meeting to be April 29th at 5:30, either hybrid, virtual, or if the room is available. Laura Martinez,
Yes?
Herman Chiriboga,
Yes.
Eric Diaz,
Yes.
Deborah Gonzalez,
Yes.
Pablo Santiago, Jenny Guzman.
Yes.
Motion passed. Next meeting, April 29th at 5:30.
Excellent. Next, I'll do a motion to adjourn the March 12th, 2026 Latino Advisory Commission meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Kevin, motion. Roll call.
Motion to adjourn. Roll call. Laura Martinez,
Yes?
Herman Chiriboga,
Yes.
Eric Diaz,
Yes.
Deborah Gonzalez,
Yes.
Pablo Santiago, Jenny Guzman.
Yes.
Motion to roll call and end to adjourn the commission.
I will see y'all next time.